Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle and today we are going to talk about sleep. Now, this is actually one of the most important parts of being healthy and active because sleep isn't just that period at night where you close your eyes, you switch your brain off, and then when you open your eyes again, it's the morning. It's actually the foundation for a lot of your well-being, because not only does sleep help your body rest and recover from the day's exertions, but it also helps your mind refresh itself. People who are sleep deprived have a harder time with memory tasks, and a sleep deprived person might actually be on the same level of impairment as somebody who has had too much to drink. So in a nutshell, that's why sleep is so important. And especially during this time where health, being healthy or being at the peak of your health is even more important than it used to be, because you're trying to fend off becoming vulnerable to the virus. And actually getting enough sleep really helps you keep that immune system function high. I'll be talking a lot from personal experience, but also I will be adding some references in the description box and also in my blog post about this. So if you have any questions, please do look up the references. Please feel free also to do some more research regarding the matter. Yeah, I did mention that sleep is important because, when you sleep, that's when your body actually does a lot of the major repairs. I mean, we put our bodies through their paces, especially as recreational athletes. But it's actually when we rest and recover, and that happens a lot during sleep, that's when our bodies put themselves back together. Think about it this way. If you're lifting weights, you're causing small micro tears in the muscle, so that when the body repairs those micro tears, the muscle becomes stronger and larger than it used to be, and that's called muscle hypertrophy. And a lot of the functions that go into muscle hypertrophy and rebuilding those muscles happens when you sleep. Your body secretes the hormones that it needs to do those things. And then also you have to think about how sleep impacts your mental well-being. I don't know if you've heard about this study where they actually had some volunteers, and they kept these volunteers awake through a period of time, and over time the volunteers who suffered from this major lack of sleep started exhibiting some aspects of psychosis. These symptoms were reversed by getting a good night's sleep. None of the subjects were hurt during that little experiment, but it just goes to show how much sleep helps with the mental processes and also emotional as well. Sleep also helps with memory. So I don't know if you've ever tried it where you're studying before you sleep, and then you get a good night's rest. The next day, whatever you studied is committed to long-term memory. That happens during sleep. The transfer from short-term memory into long-term memory. So if you don't get enough sleep, you tend to become more forgetful. I have noticed certain things about me when I don't get enough sleep. And this has been a pattern that goes back for many years. So this is how it works for me. If I don't get enough sleep, which is around 7.5 to 8 hours, for instance, if I have an entire week where I don't hit that quantity of sleep, something starts to happen. For one, my mood goes down. Number two, my immune system also goes down. So I tend to become more sniffly. If I'm, nursing any or incubating any viruses in my body, that's usually when they start coming out and I start feeling under the weather. And lastly, I do get a lot of cold sores in my mouth when I don't get enough sleep. So that's also a sign of immune system just going down. During this period, from March 15 up until this point, I have been more conscious about getting enough sleep because I know how lack of sleep depresses my immune system, and nobody really can afford to get sick in this time. So, what can be the causes of sleep disturbance or just basically not getting enough sleep? Aside from the Netflix binges, many times I don't have restful sleep because I'm actually overtrained. When you're overtrained, it means you tipped over the edge and you've just done too much. And for my body, that means it's kind of like in this heightened alert state constantly. So it's just running on overdrive, and that's why I usually have restless sleep when I've just done too much, and that's one of the earliest signs for me to sit back and think, okay, I've got to pull back on the training because I've just done too much, and that usually resolves the sleep problem. Another cause of sleep disturbance is actually the other side of that, which is no training or no exercise at all. So the sedentary lifestyle, you haven't expended enough energy, and so at night you just have a lot of energy, too much energy, and you're just lying there awake in bed because you're not tired. or also, if you don't really have like a set schedule for things, you just do whatever. You wake up at any time of the day, you go through the meal times and the work times, and then you sleep at odd hours of the night or into the morning. Then you're going to have sleep that's not really high quality. Another cause of sleep disturbance is actually anxiety. And I'm sure that many of you who are also living through this global pandemic have felt anxious at some point, in some more than others. I am very close to somebody who had an anxiety problem. He was actually diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and he's pulling through now, and he's taking a turn for the better. And the causes of his anxiety and depression were also tackled, so I will be talking about that in a bit. But yeah, anxiety is another cause of sleep disturbance. And maybe the last thing that I'm going to talk about as a cause of sleep disturbance is the wrong timing of caffeine intake and exercise. And that's because I have found that, before I used to take a lot of coffee during the day, and so I never really had a problem falling asleep at night, even if I had an afternoon cup. But then when I cut down on my caffeine intake, I found that I was just that more sensitive to caffeine in the afternoons, and it usually resulted in sleep that wasn't that great for that evening, or I would wake up and wouldn't be able to fall back asleep again. Another one, which I have experienced lately, is also the wrong timing of exercise. Some people might have experienced this when they exercise beyond a certain point in the afternoon or in the evening. They have a harder time falling asleep. Yeah, that's because exercise stimulates the body. It stimulates you. So you're kind of like, anong tawag dun? Gising ang diwa? Something like that. So you feel awake. It brings you to some sort of alertness. And I guess if you do that too close to bedtime, then it really will impact the quality and quantity of your sleep. One of the reasons why sleep feels that disturbed during this time is because your normal routines were all kind of thrown out of whack when the world went into lockdown and shelter in place. Some of us had this habit of waking up at 4 in the morning to get ready for work, to go to work. And then now it's kind of like your work is at home, so you don't have to get up that early. But then it threw off your schedule, and now you're getting up at 11 a.m. and going back to sleep at 2 a.m. And another reason why sleep has been so disturbed at this time is because, yeah, we're anxious about things, about where we're headed, about the unknown, about whether or not we're going to keep our jobs or whether or not we're going to stay healthy. And all that impacts your sleep. Don't discount it. It's really a known phenomenon during this time. And so that's why I found that it's so important to really pay attention to sleep at this time. And I guess try to take steps so that your sleep is better. So, how do you manage these sleep disturbances? How do you rectify them? Well, like I mentioned, if it's a mental health issue that's causing your sleep disturbance, the best choice actually is to get the help that you need. So, there's mental health hotlines that you can call so that you can eventually find a doctor who can help diagnose if there is anything to be diagnosed, and really help you to get down to the root of that anxiety, of that depression, of that mental health issue that you have. Get the help that you need. The person that I mentioned earlier, he was anxious because of a health issue. So, physical health affected his mental health, which affected his sleep, which affected again his physical health, and it became kind of like a vicious cycle. And really speaking with a professional, a mental health professional, to work through those issues, maybe prescribe things that he needed to, number one, to fall asleep, number two, to help with the anxiety symptoms. And it really helped to break that cycle, and he was able to deal with things, and he's now on less medication, he's sleeping better. We also got down to the root of the physical health issue, and that really helped his anxiety a lot. So yeah, get to the root of things if it's a mental health issue that's causing your sleep disturbance. In the case of overtraining, yeah, you do need to cut down on the training. In the case of not enough training or a sedentary lifestyle, I think even just 30 minutes a day of exercise should help kind of tire your body out. When it comes to timing of exercise, mornings are always best, because at least then you've done it, you've gotten it over with, and you don't have to worry about not being able to sleep because you exercised too late. With regard to overuse of caffeine or using caffeine at the wrong time of day, you just basically have to retime it or reassess how much caffeine you need in a day. Like I mentioned, I used to drink coffee 3 times a day. I cut it down to once a day, and it's in the mornings. And it's just a great start to the day, but I don't feel that energy drop in the afternoon anymore that necessitates the need for caffeine intake at that time. If you have an irregular work schedule, or you tend to wake up at whatever time and go to sleep at whatever time, if you have a sleep disturbance, it really helps if you set a regular routine. And that's because your body learns your rhythms. Aside from the sun being a contributor in the kind of hormones that your body creates so that you can, your alertness level peaks during the day, and then you start getting drowsier towards the night. The sun is a big component of that. So try to get up with the sun and go to bed when the sun goes down. We usually extend the hours that we're awake by keeping the lights on, but that also impacts your body. It tells your body it's not time to go to sleep yet, and it takes a while before your body is cued by lighting to say, okay, now it's time for bed. And so if you keep the lights on and blazing at 10 or 11, and then just switch the lights off and think that you can quickly go to sleep, that's not going to happen. You do need to kind of like signal to your body that it's time to rest. And so, for your phone, especially if you're on your phone until late into the night, your phone emits blue light, which signals your body to stay awake. And so that's why phones have these blue light filters, correct scheduling of your day, and then avoiding use of tablets and screens closer to bedtime or your preferred bedtime. Another important thing is that during these times, right, most of us are working from home, telecommuting, that sort of thing. And sometimes we tend to work in our rooms, right? But the thing is, if you work in your room, especially if you work on your bed, then your mind subconsciously associates your room and your bed with work. So it's harder to relax. And so just try to avoid working in your bedroom. Have a different setup somewhere else in the house for working, so that when you enter your bedroom, it's really meant for rest, and it really cues your body that it's time to go to sleep. Now, there are other interventions that will help you sleep, usually organic or all natural or naturally occurring, and sometimes placebo effects work as well. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is sleep aids like melatonin. So I have two different brands here. They're both 3 milligrams, which is the minimum amount that's available. Usually people use melatonin to help retune their sleep patterns, especially if they're undergoing jet lag. Melatonin can be used over long periods of time. Your body doesn't really get physically dependent on it, because melatonin is a naturally occurring substance that your body produces. And basically just nudging the body a little bit with the melatonin tablet so that it helps it find that pattern of sleep that you need. Of course, I'm using this under doctor's advice, and for some people who are long-time or long-term users of melatonin, they also advise that you cycle. So you do 4 weeks or thereabouts of using melatonin, and then you get off them, and then you can come back on if you have trouble sleeping again, that sort of thing. Another intervention that I've used throughout this quarantine period is essential oils. I have looked into things like, for instance, with aromatherapy, and your nose is like almost a direct line into your brain, and things that you smell actually can affect moods, affect emotions. I mean, if you smell something bad, right, of course you're going to get really annoyed. And then if you smell something good, your mood changes, right? So just taking it from there, I figured that smelling nice things before night and forming associations with sleep and this smell would help me find better sleep, or at least a better sleep schedule. For people who use aromatherapy to achieve certain things, they recommend lavender as a sleep aid or a sleep cue. So smelling lavender. And there have been studies done on this where women who had just given birth were given lavender to smell versus other women who were not given the same intervention, and they reported sleeping better. A lot of other small studies have been done looking at the effects of lavender on sleep quality. Of course, these small studies always say that more studies need to be done to confirm their findings, but anecdotally, lavender is known as a sleep aid. So, okay, I don't really have a preferred source for my essential oils, but I have been buying personal care and home care products from Lemongrass House for some time now. And Lemongrass House uses essential oils as part of the scents that they offer, as part of, as part of the products that they offer. So I've sourced my essential oils from them. Now, they do have this blend, they call it Peaceful Sleep. And Peaceful Sleep has lavender, lime, and mandarin to relax and calm the senses to aid restful and peaceful sleep. So yeah, this is Peaceful Sleep. And I usually diffuse 4 drops of this per 100 milliliters into an electronic diffuser like this, which I bought from Shopee. So yeah, I don't really have like a supplier. I just buy these things off the internet. So yeah, I've switched it on. I'm gonna pour my 100 milliliters of water. And then I'm going to put my 4 drops of Peaceful Sleep into this. It's not going out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, a little bit too much. 5 drops in there. And then I'm just going to put the cover on. Ta-da! And there's no heat involved, no flames involved, which makes this pretty safe, especially if you're going to leave it unattended for when you go to sleep. There's a timer function here as well. And I can also select which color I want to leave this little thing on, especially if it acts as a night light. So yeah, this is on for about an hour. I'm just going to diffuse that there. And since I associate this smell with going to sleep, I'm already cueing myself. I'm already starting to feel a little bit more relaxed and kind of drowsy. But yeah, there's also small clinical evidence that lavender actually works to, I guess, to calm your mind, to calm your body. Something about brain waves and all that. You can look it up if you're that curious. But yeah, diffusing essential oils is another way that I've kind of helped manage my sleep during this period. Now, I have been using my Garmin Forerunner 945 to keep track of the number of hours I've been sleeping, and also because it can sense my movement and my respiration. It extrapolates from there whether my sleep is deep or whether I'm in REM or that sort of thing, or even if I've woken up during the middle of the night. So yeah, I always check on it in the morning. Obviously, if you know what time you went to sleep, then when you wake up in the morning and you look at the clock, you know that you've kind of hit the ballpark or not. But I really like that drilling down into the sleep patterns or the sleep data that Garmin gives me. So there you have it, guys. That was all about sleep and managing your sleep. If you've had similar experiences and if you've used similar things and habits and aids to help you fall asleep, please do let me know in the comments. If your experience has been divergent from my experience, also please do let me know in the comments and let me know how you've managed your sleep during this period. We're all here to learn from each other, so it's always nice to hear your comments and your feedback. If you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you again next time. Bye! Sleep well!